Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, June 9th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave a comment down below with what your baseball picks are for Thursday's games. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday, June 9th. First up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Now, in this one, it's going to be an early start time, 12:35 Eastern. We should see the starters of Zach Davies and Tyler Mahle on the mound. Now, not only do I think the Reds have the better starter in Tyler Mahle, but I also think their offense is doing a whole lot better also. The offense is getting it done at Great American Ballpark. We know it's a hitter-friendly park. And although the Reds are 15 games under 500 at the time of me recording this, there's still only a few games under 500 at home, a really solid home record for where they are overall. And I do think this is a good spot for them to grab another home win. You know, the offense really showed up in the first couple games of this series, even despite some weather delays and some postponements. But, you know, the Reds offense is getting it done. And Tyler Mahle, sure, that 5.43 ERA doesn't look too sharp on paper, but I do think he is pitching better than that. He's got 64 Ks in 59 2/3 innings. He's only allowed 6 home runs this season, which is a really good step in the right direction. As pitching at a hitter-friendly park like Great American, you're probably going to give up a good amount of home runs, but Mahle has kept the ball in the yard. The only thing he's really had an issue with, some base hits and the walks. So, you know, as long as he can limit those walks going forward, I think he'll have a solid end of the season. Zach Davies had a really good start to 2022, but has struggled a little bit as of late, pitching like the Zach Davies we saw last season. And although he pitched well in his most recent start against the Pirates, he's not facing the Pirates here. He's facing a much tougher lineup and a much tougher location, in my opinion. So I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds here on the money line. Keep rolling with Cincy. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Miles Mikolas and Shane McClanahan on the mound for this one. This is a really tough game here. Overall, I think this Thursday card is pretty tough in general, but this game, you know, we see two aces on the mound, Miles Mikolas and Shane McClanahan. Obviously, Mikolas hasn't pitched as well lately as he did at the beginning of the season. Now his ERA is above 3. After a few rough starts, give 4 earned runs to the Cubs, 6 earned runs to the Brewers on 2 homers. So the home run's starting to be an issue. The walks are also piling up a little bit. The strikeout numbers are actually rising, which is good to see from him, but he is giving up a lot of earned runs. While on the other side, Shane McClanahan, he is pitching really well this season. He's got to be one of the top 3 favorites to win the Cy Young this year. He leads the league in strikeouts with 89 Ks and only 64 in the 3rd innings. The only problem I have is he's facing a Cardinals lineup that does hit lefties really well. They are ranked 4th in baseball in team OPS against left-handed pitching. So it's kind of tough to take or fade the Cardinals when they are facing a lefty starter. But you know what? They faced a lefty starter in the first game of this series in Jeffrey Springs. And I mentioned if it came down to the bullpens, I did like Tampa Bay, and maybe they got a little lucky with that 3-run walk-off home run. But you know, the bullpen cashed in for Tampa Bay. They held St. Louis to only 1 run in the extra innings, and that was when facing Goldschmidt, Arenado, and some other strong hitters. And the Tampa Bay Rays, bottom of the lineup, got it done. You know, I think this game could be close for a while. I think the total being low makes sense for this game to be a lower scoring, tight game, but I trust McClanahan and the Rays bullpen just a little bit more. I know you have to lay a pretty large price with the Rays, so I'm not crazy about that price, but I do think Tampa Bay is the better option here, so I'm going to take the Rays on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Chicago White Sox. We're going to see Tyler Anderson and Dylan Cease on the mound for this game, and I think this game it's a pretty interesting one. I kind of want to touch on something. You know, you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, they haven't really been too nice to us as of late. You look in that Pirates series where they were big-time favorites in all 3 of those games, and they lost all 3 outright. We look at that Mets series where the Dodgers won the first 2 games pretty convincingly, and then they had some beneficial starting matchups, but couldn't win the last 2 games of that series at home. And then they start this series, a 4-0 loss. The offense looked miserable. I mean, they couldn't get anything done offensively, and they're supposed to be juggernauts offensively. So, they've definitely struggled recently, and they're still favorites in this spot. And I think it goes to show last year, even though the Dodgers won 106 ball games, if you bet them every single game on the money line or the run line, you did not make any money. In fact, you lost money betting on the Dodgers blindly, money line or run line. You know, the betting markets are going to catch up to with whatever happens, losing streaks, winning streaks. So I say you don't want to really write off any team, and if you lose with them a couple times, I know it's probably frustrating, and I see a lot of people say, no, I'm not taking the Angels, I'm not taking the Phillies the rest of the season. The Cubs are dead to me. But I think throughout the course of a season, you're going to win and you're going to lose with probably all 30 teams. It's a 162 game schedule and plenty of games each and every day. So I don't write off any teams, but I haven't been impressed with the Dodgers lately. And they're bringing out a lefty to face the White Sox here. The White Sox are number 1 in baseball in team OPS against left-handed pitching. They're number 4 in baseball in isolated power against left-handed pitching. And they're bringing out their ace in Dylan Cease, who struggled against the Red Sox mightily, giving up 7 earned runs, but bounced back in a big way against the Cubs, not giving up an earned run there in 7 innings, and then pitching well against the Rays, 4 2/3 innings, no earned runs in that spot either. The walks have been an issue for Cease lately, and that's why his pitch count has risen, but I still like him in this spot at home. I think this offense is going to back him up, and I can't pass up the price we're getting with the home team. So I'm going to take the White Sox here on the money line. I think we're just getting too good of a price to pass up. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Zach Eflin and Corbin Burnes on the mound for this one, a pair of righties going at it. Now, I think this game's going to be a pretty low-scoring one, similar to the first game we saw in the series. Zach Eflin, 3.88 ERA. I think he's having his best season in his career thus far. Last year, not a guy that I backed too often, but this season, he's only given up 4 home runs in 51 innings, only 10 walks in those innings as well. Strikeout numbers I'd like to see rise a little bit, but still 45 Ks in 51 innings, not too bad. He's coming off a fantastic start, 8 innings shutout baseball with 6 strikeouts in a 10-0 Phillies win. And although the offense showed up in that game for the Phillies, I don't think it's going to do too much against Corbin Burnes and the Brewers bullpen here. Corbin Burnes, another guy having a fantastic season, 2.5 ERA, second in the league in strikeouts with 84 Ks in 68 1/3 innings. Sure, he struggled quite a bit against the Padres last time out, but I don't really worry about that going forward. He's missing bats. The home runs at times have been an issue, but not allowing a lot of walks, and I think he has a strong bounce-back start in this one. So I'm leaning towards the under in this game. I kind of lean towards the Phillies in the plus money just based on value, but in terms of the total, I do like the under. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Francisco Giants. Now, we don't have an official lineup for this game quite yet, as the Giants have not announced a starter, but we should see Austin Gomber as the starter for the Rockies. And to me, with Gomber going, I do lean towards the Giants and the over in this spot. Austin Gomber just has not pitched well at all recently, whether it be on the road or at home. At Coors Field, we know it's tough to pitch there for any pitcher, and in his last start at home, he gave up 10 hits, 9 earned runs, and 2 home runs. So you can excuse a weak performance at Coors Field here and there, but his most recent road start was against the Washington Nationals, one of the weakest lineups in baseball. He only made it an inning and a third, giving up 7 hits and 8 earned runs. And now you're facing a San Francisco lineup that's ranked in the top 10 in both team OPS and isolated power against left-handed pitching. I just think this is a really bad spot for Gomber. He's really lost a lot of games recently. The Rockies are mostly losing those games on the run line as well, including a game against these San Francisco Giants, where Gomber went 5 1/3, giving up 5 earned runs and a home run in an 8-5 Giants win. So I'm going to take the Giants here on the run line and also lean towards the over in this game. I'd like to see who San Francisco starts here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rockies pitching a few runs in this spot, but I like the Giants offense overall. So leaning towards the Giants run line, team total over, and the full game over as well. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins hosting the Washington Nationals. We're going to see Trevor Rogers and Steven Strasburg making his season debut. Strasburg is in this spot. Now, Steven Strasburg, if he can pitch the way he has in recent seasons, the Nationals could certainly use him in that rotation, a rotation that is struggling this season. But where we've seen Strasburg struggle is really his recent years, where he's come back from injury and just hasn't had the best stuff. Last year his ERA was above 4. In 2020, he didn't pitch a lot, but in that short period of time, he had his ERA above 10. So, I'm not too sure the first start back is going to be his sharpest. I know he's not going to go too deep into this game. And the fact is that, the Dodgers are number 1 in baseball against righties in team OPS. The surging Mets are number 4. The Yankees are number 2. In the middle of that sandwich with some of the powerhouses of the league, the Miami Marlins, number 3 in baseball in team OPS against righties. So I do think they're going to be able to take advantage of Strasburg's first start in 2022. And even if they don't get to Strasburg early, I don't really trust this Washington Nationals bullpen at all. One of the worst bullpens in baseball, in my opinion. I know Trevor Rogers has struggled recently, but the Washington Nationals lineup has been so inconsistent, more so to the weak side. At times we've seen them explode in like games at Great American Ballpark. But on the year still, they are in the bottom 10 in team OPS against lefties and dead last in baseball in isolated power against lefties. So I do like the Marlins in this spot. I think because Strasburg, a big name pitcher, is getting the start, and we're getting actually a pretty good price with Miami, and because of Rogers' recent struggles also. So give me the Marlins here, the fish on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians hosting the Oakland A's. Now we're going to see James Caprillion and Connor Pilkington on the mound for this one. James Caprillion has not pitched well at all this season, coming off another start where he gave up 4 earned runs at the least. He's done that now 3 times in a row, giving up at least 1 home run in all 3 of those starts as well. And this Guardians lineup, although they've cooled off quite a bit from the beginning of the season where they were in the top 5 in team OPS against righties, they still are in the top 12 right now. And I do think they're going to be able to get to Caprillion at home. On the other side, Connor Pilkington, at first I wasn't necessarily impressed with his game, but as the season's carried on, I do like what I'm seeing. He misses a lot of bats, picks up a lot of strikeouts. Last time out was certainly his sharpest outing. 5 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, and 8 strikeouts against the Kansas City Royals. It was a 4-0 Guardians win, and the Guardians have won 2 of the last 3 games that Pilkington has started as well. I'm going to take the Guardians here at home. I think they're the better team with the better lineup and the better starter. So give me Cleveland on the money line. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Minnesota Twins. Garrett Cole and Dylan Bundy on the mound for this one. I think this is a big-time pitching mismatch. And we know the Yankees lineup is also one of the top in baseball. So I do think this game is in favor of the Yankees by quite a bit. Garrett Cole's pitching really well recently. I know he's had some pretty easy starts, you could say, facing the Orioles twice, a struggling Rays lineup, the Tigers, but he's pitched really well in that stretch. Last time out, 7 innings, no earned runs, and 9 strikeouts against the Tigers. Previous start, 6 innings against the Rays, 1 earned run, and the Rays are a team that really has dominated Cole in recent seasons. 10 strikeouts in that one on the road. And Dylan Bundy is not a guy I can trust in this spot. In the beginning of the season, Bundy was pitching really well, and I was really impressed. But recently, something has changed in his game, and it's kind of concerning to see. He's gone the last 2 outings, giving up at least 4 earned runs. In his last 5 outings, at least 1 home run in 4 of those 5. The strikeout numbers have plummeted. 2 Ks last time, 3 Ks this previous start. So he's not missing a lot of bats. And the Yankees will make you pay if you're pitching like that. And I do think they make Bundy pay in this spot. We'll also have to see the availability of Luis Arraez, the leadoff hitter for the Twins. He's batting about .360 this season with an OPS above .850. And he left the game on Tuesday with shoulder tightness and didn't start on Wednesday. So if he's out of the lineup, that's a big missing piece in that offense for the Twins. I'm going to take the Yankees here on the run line. I think they win this game by 2 or more. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Atlanta Braves. JT Brubaker and Max Fried on the mound for this one. Now, JT Brubaker was a guy that I thought was pitching a lot better than his ERA suggested, and I still think, 4.7 ERA. I think there's some room for improvement in that ERA, just with the way he's limiting hard contact and base hits overall. But the strikeout numbers have dropped for Brubaker, and that's what scares me going into this start. The Braves are known to strike out a lot of times, whether they're facing a righty or a lefty this season. They're number 1 in baseball in strikeout percentage against right-handed pitching at 26.3%. And if Brubaker was missing those bats like he was doing back on May 17th where he had 10 Ks against the Cubs, I think I'd be a little bit comfortable taking the Pirates here on the run line. But with Brubaker's recent struggles, especially last time out giving up 3 home runs, I just can't trust the Pirates here. Their offense has really struggled also lately. We saw them not do much against the Tigers, and I do think this is another spot where the Braves get a pretty comfortable win. They're starting to pick up victories now, and they are facing some weak teams, but we know the Braves are slow starters overall. When they catch fire, and Max Fried's pitching well for Atlanta also. I'm going to take the Braves on the run line here. Not a lot of value as this money line price is through the roof, but that's where I'm headed with Atlanta minus 1.5. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Chris Bubich and Bruce Zimmerman, a pair of lefties, going at it in this one. Now, there's no doubt that the Royals' offense is in a much better place right now than it was at the beginning of the season. This was one of the weakest offenses in baseball in the first month or so, but they have really improved their game offensively, and it's really tough to not take them in this spot, especially when you saw what they did on Wednesday afternoon, scoring plenty against a tough Blue Jays team. And Kansas City at home, although they haven't had the best record, they are improving at Kauffman Stadium. The offense is also improving because the wind's blowing out in Kauffman. It's also getting warmer in Missouri, so we're seeing some more runs. That's why this total set at 9.5. The Orioles, they've played pretty well at Camden Yards, but well under 500 on the road this year. And I do think Kris Bubic is actually the better option on the mound, which you don't say too often this season, but he is improving his game. Last time he went 5 innings against the Houston Astros, no less, and shut him out. There was a 6-0 Royals win. Shut him out through 5 innings. The previous start, he got injured against the Rangers. The Royals went on to win that ball game, but I think Bubic is a good enough option here. The Orioles have struggled quite a bit against lefties this season offensively, and I'm going to take the Royals here on the money line at a really good price. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Los Angeles Angels. We're going to see Shohei Ohtani and Nick Pivetta on the mound for this game. Now, Mike Trout suffered an injury on Tuesday with left groin tightness, and that is a big loss for this Angels lineup. I know Trout was in a little bit of a funk offensively, but he started to break out, hit a home run in that Tuesday game, and then left the game after a second at-bat. But, that is a big loss for this Angels team, and I just can't lay that kind of price on the money line with Los Angeles right now. Shohei Ohtani has struggled quite a bit on the mound recently, and the Angels have just found new ways to lose recently also. So I can't lay that price, but I also don't want to take Nick Pivetta in this spot. Sure, he's pitching a lot better than he did in the beginning of the season, but if you look at his numbers, especially on his Baseball Savant page, still giving up a lot of hard contact, and I do think he is susceptible to getting hit in the next few starts as well. You look at the games that Pivetta's pitched in, the offense has really backed them up. They scored 8 runs, 12 runs, 16 runs, 5 runs, 7 runs. The Red Sox offense is just doing a number recently, and I do think we're going to see a higher scoring game in this contest. I think with Ohtani's struggles and Nick Pivetta's regression being a worry, I think we're going to see a higher scoring game here. So I'm going to take the over, just a lean for me, not my favorite game on the board. That's where I'm headed. Give me the over and the Red Sox Angels. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday, June 9th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.